The courtroom was cold, not because of the air conditioner, because of the memories. Daniella sat in the witness box, her hands shaking slightly as she held the Bible. She wore a simple but neat gown, her natural hair packed into a low bun. She looked different from the homeless girl who once slept outside on cement, but deep inside she was still the same Daniella. The girl who lost everything and fought to stand again. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" the court clerk asked. "I do," she whispered. Her eyes moved slowly. On the other side of the courtroom, sitting in the accused box, was Uncle Cheeky. He wore a faded shirt and trousers now, not the proud wine senator he used to flaunt. His face looked harder, angrier, his eyes burned with hatred. He stared at Daniella like she had ruined his life. She swallowed and looked away. On the front row of the public gallery sat Emeka, dressed in a dark blue suit, calm but serious. His jaw was tight, his eyes never left Daniella. Beside him, Somto sat in a shirt and tie, legs not reaching the floor, tiny hands clenched together as he watched. Behind them, the courtroom was filled with strangers, lawyers, police officers, and a few journalists with notepads. And at the very back row, almost blending into the shadow, sat a man in rich agbada and dark glasses, Chief Obadike, Emeka's uncle, the man who once shouted, "This girl will ruin you." He leaned back in his chair, arms folded, face unreadable. The judge cleared his throat. "Miss Daniella," he said, "please tell this court, in your own words, what happened to your father's house and properties after he died?" Her heart pounded. She looked at Emeka. He gave a small nod, a calm smile. Eyes full of, "You can do this." So she spoke. She told them about Onitsha, the shop, the house, her parents' sudden death, how Uncle Chike came, saying he would help, how he took the documents, how he chased her and Somto out, how they slept in different places, how he said, "You and your brother are not my problem." Her voice shook sometimes, but she didn't stop. The whole court listened quietly. When she finished, the judge looked at the defense lawyer. "Any questions for the witness?" The defense lawyer stood. He tried to twist her words. He tried to make it seem like she was lying or confused. "Did you see your uncle sign any document with your father's name?" he pressed. "No," Daniella said calmly. "I was not there, but the bank and lawyers confirmed the signatures were fake. Is it not true," he tried again, "that you are now married to a billionaire and you want to destroy your uncle so you can keep all property to yourself?" Daniella's heart jumped. He said it loud. Some people in court turned. She swallowed. "I didn't marry for property," she replied softly. "I just want justice. For my parents, for myself, for my little brother. What belongs to us should not be stolen." There was a long pause. The judge watched her carefully. The defense lawyer looked annoyed. "No further questions," he said at last, and sat down. Daniella stepped down from the box and walked back to her seat. Emeka stood slightly as she approached and touched her hand gently. "You did well," he whispered. Somto gave her a small, proud smile. The judge spoke again. "After reviewing the evidence, the court finds the defendant, Mr. Chike, guilty on all charges: forgery, property theft, and child endangerment." A murmur went through the room. Chike's eyes went wild. The judge continued, "For these crimes, you are hereby sentenced to 20 years in prison." Chike exploded. "No, no lies. This stupid girl, this useless girl, you think you have won?" Police held him as he thrashed. "I will deal with you," he screamed at Daniella. "All of you. You hear me?" Daniella's hands shook, but she didn't look away. Emeka stood, ready to step between them if he came close, but he couldn't. He was dragged away, still shouting. The judge banged his gavel. "Order!" Slowly, the court calmed. When all was done, people began to leave. That was when Daniella felt it. A strange, cold feeling, like eyes pressing against her back. She turned slightly and saw him, Chief Obedike, still sitting at the back. He had removed his glasses now. His eyes were on her. Careful, measuring, dark. For a moment, their eyes locked. He didn't speak. He just gave the smallest, tight smile. Then he stood up, adjusted his agbada, put on his glasses, and walked out of the courtroom with slow, controlled steps. Daniella's stomach twisted. "Emeka," she whispered, still looking at the door. "Yes, love," he said, helping her with her bag. "Your uncle was here." "I know." She turned to him quickly. "You know?" He nodded. He wanted to see how this case would end. "What does he want from us?" she asked, voice shaking a little. "Why does he hate me so much?" Emeka held her shoulders gently. "He doesn't hate you," he said quietly. "He hates losing control. And he hates that I chose you instead of listening to him." Somto tugged at Daniella's hand. "Sis, are we safe?" he asked in a small voice. Emeka bent down so he could look Somto in the eye. "Yes," he said firmly. "As long as I'm here, you're safe. Both of you." His voice was strong and steady, but as they walked out of the courtroom together, Daniella couldn't stop thinking about the look in Chief Obedike's eyes. It wasn't finished. Not for him. That night, while the city lights of Abuja shone and the house was quiet, a phone rang in a dark sitting room. Chief Obedike sat alone, his agbada now replaced with a simple shirt. He picked the call. "Yes," he said calmly. A deep voice spoke on the other end. "So the girl won?" "Yes." "And the uncle is gone to prison?" "Yes." There was silence. Then the voice asked, "Should we leave them?" Obedike's jaw tightened. He looked through his window into the night. "Leave them?" he said slowly. "No. We are just starting." He leaned back. "I want her broken," he said softly. "Not with guns. With something worse." "What do you mean?" the voice asked. Obedike's lips curved into a cold smile. "Let's destroy her name," he whispered. "Then, we go after the company." He ended the call. Outside, Abuja was calm. Inside, a storm was quietly waking up. And Daniella, safe in Emeka's arms, had no idea that part 2 of her battle had already begun. 3 weeks later, the world around Daniella looked bright, but something dark was building underneath. She woke up in their beautiful bedroom, sunlight peeking through the curtains. Emeka was already dressed in a crisp white shirt and navy trousers, tying his watch. He smiled. "Good morning, my wife." She smiled sleepily. "Good morning, my billionaire." He laughed softly and bent to kiss her forehead. "Get ready," he said. "Today is important. We are meeting the lawyers to sign the final transfer for your father's properties." Her heart fluttered. Her parents' shop, the house, the land, everything that was taken, now finally coming back. "Thank you," she whispered. "I still don't know how to repay you." He shook his head gently. "You don't repay love," he said. "You just share it." She blushed. He left for work early, as usual. Daniella stayed back to prepare. She now had a small home office where she started planning something new. A charity for girls sleeping outside, just like she once did. As she arranged her files, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. She opened it. A link. No words, just the link. She frowned and tapped it. Her browser opened. Her heart dropped. A blog. Headline in bold, "Poor Girl or Master Planner, How a Homeless Lady Trapped a Billionaire and Sent Her Uncles to Jail." Daniella's hands shook. Under the headline were her pictures, her in front of the building, sleeping on the ground, her in court, her on her wedding day. Screenshots from social media, twisted captions. She faked being homeless to catch a rich man. She destroyed her own family to inherit everything. Gold digger of the year. Tears filled her eyes. No, this is not true. Her phone rang again. It was Emeka, one of the junior staff at Emeka's office, who liked her. Auntie Daniella, have you seen it? Emeka's panicked voice rushed through. You're trending, Ma. Instagram, TikTok, everywhere people are talking. Daniella's chest burned. What are they saying? Some people are defending you, Emeka said quickly. But others, they are calling you names. Saying you trapped Oga Emeka with pity. Saying your uncle was innocent. Someone is pushing this thing, Ma. It's not normal. Daniella sat down slowly. Her legs felt weak. Her head began to pound. Thank you, Emeka, she whispered. I'll talk to Emeka. She ended the call and tried to breathe. Her phone kept buzzing. Messages, missed calls, pop-ups. She turned it off. She stared at the wall for a long time. At the office, Emeka sat in his boardroom with some directors when his assistant rushed in. Sir, sorry to interrupt, he said, breathing fast. You need to see this. He handed Emeka a tablet. Emeka looked down. His face changed. The boardroom fell quiet as he scrolled. Article after article, comments, videos. His wife's face, his name, his uncle's hints, everyone watching. One of the older directors cleared his throat. Emeka, he said carefully, this is not good for the company's image. Another said quietly, people are asking questions. Investors too. They're worried about scandal. Emeka slowly placed the tablet down. His expression was calm, but his eyes were dark. My wife is not a scandal, he said softly. The room went silent. A director tried again. We're not attacking her. We just mean perception. Maybe it will be better for the company if she stays out of public view for now. No court, no interviews, no charity. Let this die down. Emeka looked around the table. Are you saying, he asked, that my wife should hide because people are lying about her? It's just business, one of them muttered. Emeka stood up. Business without conscience is nothing, he said quietly. I built this company with my name and my values. If we betray the innocent to protect ourselves, then we have already failed. He left the boardroom before they could answer. As he stepped into his office, his phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You refused to listen when I warned you about her. Now the world will see her clearly. This is only the beginning. No name, but he knew who it was. Chief Obedike. Emeka squeezed the phone in his hand. Enough, he whispered. He picked up his car keys. It was time to go home. When he got home, he found Daniella sitting on the bed, phone turned off beside her, eyes red. She didn't speak. He sat next to her. She finally whispered, Is it true? Am I really going to destroy your life? Emeka turned sharply. What? She swallowed. People online. They're saying you will lose everything because of me, the board members. They will blame me. Your uncle will use this. Maybe I should... Stop, he said quickly. She looked up. Daniella, he said, voice firm but gentle. The internet doesn't define you. My uncle doesn't define you. Gossip doesn't define you. Listen to me. He took her hand and placed it over his chest. I chose you with my eyes open. I will keep choosing you. But, no, he cut in, shaking his head. You think I didn't know this would come? You think I didn't know my uncle would fight? Let him bring blog posts. Let him bring rumors. I am not going anywhere. Her eyes filled with tears again. I'm tired of fighting, she whispered. All my life, it has been war. I know, he said softly, and now you're not fighting alone. If he wants a fight, he has one. With me. She leaned into him, crying quietly. He wrapped his arms around her. Outside, the world was shouting her name. Inside, his voice covered the noise. "You're safe with me." The next morning, Emeka arrived at the office early. He noticed something strange. Some workers avoided him. A few stopped talking as he passed. Two people scrolling their phones quickly turned their screens away. He entered his office. His assistant looked worried. "Sir, there's something else," he said. He handed Emeka an envelope. "What is it?" Emeka asked. "From the board." Emeka opened it, his jaw clenched. Inside was a formal letter, a notice, a demand, emergency board meeting, discussion, leadership review and possible change in CEO due to reputational damage and personal decisions affecting the company. At the bottom, signed carefully, Chairman Chief Obedike. Emeka exhaled slowly, so that was it. First, destroy Daniella's name. Next, use it as reason to remove him. He smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "So he wants war," he whispered. He turned to his assistant. "Tell them I'll be there," he said calmly, "and also call my lawyer." The assistant nodded. "Sir, when is the meeting?" he asked. Emeka looked down at the letter again. The time written there made his stomach tighten. The board meeting was today, in 3 hours. The boardroom felt colder than usual, not because of the temperature, but because of the tension waiting inside, the long glass table, the high leather chairs. The blinds half closed, the faces of powerful men and women staring like judges. Emeka walked in, calm but dangerous. He wore a charcoal grey suit, no tie, sleeves rolled slightly. His expression was steady, but inside he was fire. At the head of the table sat Chief Obedike, legs crossed, agbada spread around him like a king's robe. His dark glasses hid his eyes, but his smile showed everything. "Ah, Emeka," Chief said. "We were just waiting for you." Emeka didn't reply. He pulled out a seat and sat. The board secretary closed the door. Chief tapped the table gently. "Let's begin." A board member cleared his throat first. "We called this emergency meeting because the company is under fire. Social media is questioning the CEO's decision-making, rumors are spreading, and investors are asking for clarity." Another added, "Your wife is trending for all the wrong reasons, Emeka, and your uncle," he nodded toward Chief, "has raised concerns about the company's public image." Chief leaned forward. "It's nothing personal, my boy, only business. The internet is full of stories about your wife trapping you, about her uncle going to jail because of your influence. People are suspicious. Our stock dropped 2% this morning." Emeka remained still. Chief continued, "We cannot allow emotions to destroy what we built." Emeka's eyes sharpened. "I built this company," he said softly. Chief chuckled, "With my money." Silence, sharp, painful silence. A younger board member sighed heavily. "Look, Emeka, we respect you. You're a good leader. But right now we need control, stability. We propose that you step down as CEO temporarily to protect the company's reputation until this scandal passes." Another nodded. "Yes, just a temporary step back, maybe for 3 months." "And who becomes CEO during that time?" Emeka asked, voice calm. Every eye turned to Chief. Chief smiled again. "I will hold the seat until things stabilize." Emeka leaned back slowly. "So that's your plan," he said quietly. "Destroy my wife's name, create a crisis, and use it to take my company." Chief suddenly dropped the smile. "This is not your company," he snapped. "You became who you are because of me. And now you're threatened because I no longer obey you." Chief slammed his fist on the table. "You are a child, a boy who forgets his roots." Emeka didn't blink. "And you," he said coldly, "are a man who destroys anything he cannot control." The board members watched in shocked silence. Chief pointed a shaking finger at him. That girl. That Daniella. She has bewitched you, but don't worry, I will make sure she does not ruin this empire. Emeka's voice dropped to a deadly calm. You dare speak about my wife again, and I will walk out of this room. Permanently. Chief leaned back, breathing heavily. The secretary quickly jumped in. Let's proceed with the vote. No need, Emeka said suddenly. Everyone turned to him. He stood up slowly. I will not step down. And I will not allow someone who manipulates and destroys families to lead this company. Chief stood too. You have no power here, he hissed. The board will vote. Emeka smiled. It was a small, dangerous smile. I know. He reached into his folder and placed a document on the table. Chief frowned. What is this nonsense? The youngest board member picked up the paper first, then his eyes widened. What? This is… Aidad, the woman beside him, grabbed it, then gasped. Chief snatched it. His face went pale. It was a bank statement. A large donation, billions, entered the company 5 years ago to stabilize it during a crisis. Everyone assumed it was Chief's personal money, but this document proved otherwise. Chief's donation came from a scandal-linked offshore account, a criminal money trail. Emeka spoke softly. That money you claimed was yours. Wasn't. You laundered funds through this company. The board members stared at Chief in horror. If this becomes public, Emeka said calmly, you are the scandal, not me. Not my wife. Chief trembled. Where did you get this? My lawyers traced the signatures. You left fingerprints on 3 documents. You used the company to wash dirty money. The oldest board member stood abruptly. Chief, is this true? Chief opened his mouth. Nothing came out. You exposed this company to criminal risk, another shouted. Emeka folded his arms. So, shall we vote again? The boardroom erupted in whispers. Chief looked around desperately, but every face had turned against him. No, Chief finally whispered, defeated. There will be no vote. Emeka nodded politely. Good. Because I'm not finished. Chief looked up sharply. I know you hired people to spread lies about my wife. Everyone gasped. Chief froze. Emeka continued. I know you paid bloggers. I know you arranged interviews. I know you leaked her old photos to paint her as a scammer. Chief swallowed hard. The board stared at him like he was a criminal, which he was. Emeka leaned forward slightly. Touch my wife again. His voice dropped to a cold whisper. And I will destroy you completely. Chief stood up, face red, fists trembling. This is not over, he growled. Emeka smiled faintly. Yes, it is. Chief grabbed his agbada and stormed out of the room. He didn't look back. The board members turned to Emeka. Mr. CEO, one said with a respectful bow of the head, what should we do next? Emeka replied, we rebuild. Carefully, and we protect the people who matter. He walked out of the boardroom like a man returning from war, because he had just won one. But he didn't know something. The enemy wasn't done, not even close. That night, as Daniella sat on the balcony reading messages of support from strangers who defended her online, a black SUV parked quietly across the street. Inside it, Chief Obedike sat with his phone to his ear. Plan A failed, he said darkly. A voice answered, Do we move to Plan B? Yes, Chief whispered, and the girl. Chief's jaw tightened. No more destroying her name. He paused. We're taking her. Daniella couldn't sleep, even though she was inside the safety of Emeka's mansion, even though the lights were dim and warm, even though Somto slept peacefully in the room next door. Her heart refused to rest. She sat on the balcony, wrapped in a soft blanket, staring at Abusha's quiet night. The stars were faint, the streetlights glowing dimly. Her phone buzzed every minute with people online defending her, supporting her, sending love. Yet something inside her chest felt wrong, a heaviness, a warning, a whisper she couldn't explain. She hugged her knees closer. "Why can't I shake this feeling?" she whispered. Downstairs, Emeka was in his private study, talking to his lawyer on the phone. His voice was low, controlled, but filled with anger and determination. "We must press charges on every corner," he said firmly. "Forgery, child endangerment, theft, fraud, everything." He paused, "And his media attacks. Shut them down, all of them. My wife will not be dragged through dirt again." He ended the call and rubbed his forehead. He felt tired, but more than that, he felt worried. Chief Obidike had been silent since the boardroom incident, and silence from a man like him was more dangerous than shouting, much more. Emeka stood up and walked toward the balcony where Daniella sat. She didn't hear him at first. He stood behind her, watching how she hugged her blanket with tense fingers. He stepped closer. "Still awake?" he asked softly. She turned and forced a small smile. "I'm trying to sleep, but I keep feeling like something bad will happen." Emeka sat beside her, his arm wrapped around her gently, pulling her closer. "You're safe here," he said. "Nobody can touch you again. Not your uncle, not mine, not anyone." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "I know," she whispered, "but why am I still scared?" He kissed her forehead. "Because you're human." They stayed like that for a while, silent, peaceful, almost calm. But at that exact moment, across the street, the black SUV's engine turned on. The headlights stayed off. Inside the vehicle, 3 men armed with tasers, ropes and masks listened as Chief Obidike's voice crackled through their radio. "Move quietly," he growled. "No mistakes. I want her out before dawn." The men nodded. The SUV rolled forward, creeping toward Emeka's compound. Inside the mansion, the security system was tight. Cameras, sensors, guards patrolling. But Chief's men had inside information. Information only a family member would know. They parked beside the side fence, where the cameras had a blind spot. A blind spot Chief himself designed years ago. One of the men whispered, "Boss, are you sure this is the place?" "Yes," the leader replied. "He brought her here. And Chief says she must be taken quietly." He pulled out a small cutting tool. Sparks flashed as they began opening the iron fence. Back inside, Emeka leaned back and looked at Daniella. "You're trembling," he said gently. "Come inside, you need to rest." She nodded slowly and stood. But before they could leave the balcony, a sudden gust of cold wind blew, and Daniella froze mid-step. Her chest tightened. Her breath stopped. "Emeka," she whispered, "something is wrong." He turned sharply toward her. "What do you feel?" I don't know, but it's like someone is near, watching." Emeka didn't dismiss her. He trusted her instincts more than she trusted them herself. He took her hand firmly. "Stay behind me." He moved toward the railing and looked down. At first, nothing. Quiet road, still trees. Sleeping city. Then, a faint shadow moved behind the hedge near the side fence. Emeka's eyes narrowed instantly. "Security!" he shouted sharply. Immediately, alarm lights blinked red inside the house. Guards rushed out. Daniella jumped at the sudden alarm. "What's happening?" Emeka grabbed her shoulders. "Someone is outside. Stay here. Don't move." She shook her head. "No, Emeka, what if it's them? What if—" "Exactly why I need to go out there now." He turned to the nearest guard. "Protect her. Nobody touches her." The guard nodded and pulled out his radio. "Lockdown mode, now." The house lights changed. The gate locked. Steel shutters slid over the windows. Everything became tense and quiet. Daniella's heart raced. "Emeka, please be careful," He squeezed her hand once. "I'm coming back," he promised. Then he ran downstairs with 2 guards. Outside, the men had already torn open enough space in the fence to crawl through. One of them whispered, "Hurry up before they see us." A voice boomed through the compound speakers. "Intruders detected." The men froze. Then, "Run!" They scattered. 2 jumped back toward the SUV, 1 bolted toward the rear of the house. Emeka and his guards burst out of the back door. "There!" a guard shouted. Emeka sprinted like a man possessed. His steps were fast, heavy, angry. The intruder running toward the back gate stumbled in fear. He tried to jump the fence. Emeka tackled him to the ground with 1 powerful blow. "Who sent you?" Emeka shouted. The man trembled. "Leave me." "I didn't do anything." Emeka grabbed him by the shirt. "Who sent you?" The man finally cracked. Chief Obedike. He said we should take her. He said she must not stay with you." Emeka's blood went cold. He dropped the man and called his head guard. "Shut down every exit. This is a direct attack." Daniella, watching from the balcony, covered her mouth. Oh God! She saw Emeka dragging the man inside the compound. She saw the other 2 intruders jump into the SUV and drive off into the night. But she didn't see the dark figure hiding behind the neighbor's wall. Chief Obedike. He had come himself to watch the attempt. And when he saw it fail, he whispered, "Fine, if I cannot take her quietly, I will burn everything loudly." He entered his parked car. His driver whispered, "Sir, should we retreat?" Chief's eyes glowed with hate. "No, we move to Plan C." The driver swallowed. "What is Plan C, sir?" Chief smiled slowly. "Destroy her completely." His car vanished into the night. Inside the mansion, Emeka rushed back upstairs to Daniella. She was trembling. He pulled her into his arms. "You're safe," he said. "They won't try this again, not here." But Daniella shook her head. "Emeka, he won't stop." Emeka held her chin gently. "Then we won't stop either." He pulled her closer. "We will fight him together." She buried her face in his chest. For the first time all night, she felt like she could breathe. But outside, the real war had just begun. For 2 days after the attack attempt, Emeka increased every layer of security around the mansion. Guards doubled, cameras updated. Even the police patrolled the street twice daily. But peace didn't return. It only got quieter. Too quiet. That kind of silence that warns of a storm preparing to break. Daniella felt it. Somto felt it too. He didn't go to school, just stayed close to his sister like a frightened chick hiding under its mother's wing. And Emeka, he didn't sleep, not really. He pretended to rest, but his eyes remained half open, listening for danger. Waiting. Ready. Because they all knew one thing. Chief Obedike was not done, not by a long shot. On Thursday evening, Emeka's lawyer arrived with a folder full of documents. They sat in the living room while Daniella prepared tea in the kitchen. "Emeka," the lawyer said seriously, "Chaik will not escape prison, no matter how he tries." Emeka nodded. "That's good." "But," the lawyer continued, voice lowering, "Chief Obedike, he is trying something else." Emeka's head slowly turned. "What is he trying?" The lawyer hesitated. "He is trying to file a court order to take custody of Somto." Emeka's fist closed instantly. Daniella's spoon fell in the kitchen. Somto froze where he was sitting. Silence filled the room. "He wants to take my brother?" Daniella said, her voice trembling slightly. The lawyer nodded. "Yes, he claims that you are emotionally unstable and financially incapable, and that Somto is better off with a blood relative who can provide a stable life." Daniella's chest tightened. Her eyes shook with fear, and Emeka stood up sharply. "He will not touch that boy," Emeka said firmly. His voice was calm, but beneath it was fire. The lawyer sighed. Emeka, I know, but we need evidence. We need proof that Daniella can care for Somto. We need nothing, Emeka interrupted coldly. We will not play defense. We will strike first. The lawyer raised a brow. How? Emeka looked toward the kitchen at Daniella, who was already shaking. By protecting the people he is coming after. Later that night, the house was quiet, too quiet. Daniella tucked Somto into bed. She kissed his forehead. Sleep, I'm right here, she whispered. But once she stepped out of the room, tears rolled down her cheeks. Not from sadness, but from fear of losing the only family she had left. Emeka found her standing in the dark hallway, her hand flat against the wall for support. Daniella. She turned, wiping her cheeks quickly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I don't want to cry again. You don't have to hide from me, Emeka said softly. She shook her head. You don't understand. They took everything from me. My home, my childhood, my parents' legacy, my peace, even my sleep. Her voice dropped. But if they take Somto, I'll die. Emeka stepped forward, cupped her face gently, and said, They won't. A tear slid down her cheek again. He wiped it with his thumb. I won't let them. Their foreheads touched, their breaths mixed, the world felt still. Until, boom! The entire mansion shook. The windows rattled violently. Security alarms screamed through the floors. Daniella jerked back in fear. Somto woke up screaming. Emeka grabbed her hand. Get down! Another explosion hit, this time behind the kitchen. The smell of smoke filled the air instantly. Fire alarms rang. Guards shouted downstairs. Daniella's legs shook. Emeka! What is happening? Emeka didn't answer immediately, because he already knew. He pulled her and ran towards Somto's room. Stay behind me. When they entered, the entire floor trembled again. Daniella's heart raced. Somto, come here. The little boy ran into her arms, crying loudly. Emeka positioned himself at the hallway entrance. He clenched his fists. Fire in the back exit, a guard shouted. We're under attack, Daniella gasped. Emeka looked at her over his shoulder. It's him, he said quietly. Chief Obedike. They rushed Somto outside through the emergency staircase. Smoke began crawling up the walls. Flames crept through the kitchen windows. But when they reached the courtyard, they froze. Because Chief Obedike himself stood there, calm, smiling, waiting. Two men flanked him, the same men from the first attack. Daniella felt her stomach twist in fear. Good evening, my dear, Chief said coldly. You thought I would let you ruin my family. Emeka pulled Daniella and Somto behind him. You made a mistake coming here, Emeka warned. Chief smirked. No, you made the mistake. You chose her over your own blood. You're not my blood, Emeka said firmly. You're my burden. The insult hit the chief like a slap. He stepped closer. You think you're brave because you own a mansion, he hissed. You think you're powerful because you have money. He pointed straight at Daniella. This girl has ruined you. I will end her, and I will take that boy. Daniella screamed and hugged Somto tightly. No! You can't take him! Watch me, Chief spat. He snapped his fingers. His two men rushed forward. But, before they could take 3 steps, Emeka charged at them like lightning. His punch hit the first man so hard he fell instantly. The second swung back. Emeka dodged and elbowed him in the jaw. The man dropped to the ground. Chief staggered backward. Emeka, what are you doing? Are you mad? Emeka walked toward him slowly, steadily, coldly. You came to burn my house, Emeka said. You tried to kidnap her brother. You tried to hurt the woman I love. Chief's face went pale. She bewitched you. No, Emeka said, stepping closer. She healed me. Chief stumbled. He tried to run, But sirens suddenly filled the street. Red and blue lights filled the mansion. Police vans screeched to a stop outside. And behind them, EFCC officers. Emeka's lawyer stepped out of another car. "Chief Obidike," the lead officer shouted, "you are under arrest for arson, attempted abduction, fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy." Chief turned in shock. "What? Who reported?" Emeka raised a hand. "I did." Chief froze. He stared at Emeka with disbelief. "You think you've won?" he growled. Emeka stepped forward once more. "No, I think she won." He pointed at Daniella. Daniella gasped softly. Chief looked at her with pure hatred. "You worthless girl," he hissed. "I will—" The EFCC officers grabbed him. He fought, he kicked, he screamed. But they carried him away like a struggling animal. And as he was shoved into the van, Chief shouted through the bars, "This is not over! I will come back for you!" The van doors slammed. Silence returned. Firefighters rushed into the mansion. Police took statements. Lights flashed. Chaos settled. And Emeka walked over to Daniella. She held Somto as if she would never let go. Her whole body trembled. "Emeka," she whispered, he really tried to kill us." Emeka pulled her into his chest. "I know." She cried hard, Somto cried too, and Emeka wrapped his arms around both of them. "You're safe now," he repeated softly. "You're safe." She cried even harder against his chest, because this time, she believed him. Later that night, the flames were gone. The officers left. The house was quiet. Daniella sat beside Emeka in the living room, wrapped in a blanket. She watched him silently. He looked tired, bruised, dirty, but he was alive. She touched his cheek gently. "You protected us," she whispered. He looked at her. "I always will." She leaned closer, tears in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." He shook his head. "You don't need to." He took her hand. "You're my family now. Both of you." Her heart melted. She rested her head on his shoulder. "Emeka," she whispered, "what happens next?" He wrapped an arm around her. "Whatever comes," he said softly, "we face it together." And in that moment, even with smoke still in the air, even with danger still out there, even with the future still uncertain, Daniella finally felt something she had been craving her entire life. A home, a family, a man who would never leave, and a future worth fighting for. Thanks for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for interesting videos.